Tonight is a special man, beloved by millions of Americans, who just received a stage 4 advanced cancer diagnosis. This is not good news, but what is good news is that he is the greatest fighter and winner that you will ever meet. Rush Limbaugh, thank you for your decades of tireless devotion to our country. I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
And folks, there you have it. Rush the man, Rush the voice, Rush the patriot, Rush the man for conservative values, Rush the man that went out there and paved the way for many conservative talk show hosts like myself and my host, co-host at Small Town Andrew, and our guest, Sean G. 927. Rush Limbaugh, rest in peace. So, gentlemen, how is it going out there in conservative land, Conservativeville? How are we holding up?
Very sad news today about Rush. Very sad way to start the day, hearing that news. It was very nice to hear President Trump back on air and hear his voice. I think we've been missing that, so that was exciting to hear President Trump. I liked hearing his thoughts on Rush, but overall, it'll go down as a sad day in America.
It will, absolutely. I mean, there's no one else that will be able to fill his shoes. I mean, Hope Damon will get out there, but he was in a category all to himself. I mean, untouchable. And he and his EIB golden mic. I have to admit that back in 2008, I really didn't care for. Well, it was a love-hate relationship with Rush Limbaugh. And if you go back and look at some of my tweets, I would attack him. I would say, oh, this guy, what is he talking about? La, 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 la. But then I started to listen to him. What caught my attention? The voice. And then listening to the things that he was saying were ideas that I supported. So I stopped, I listened, and I found myself drawn to him. And then I said, wow, this man is incredible. And from that moment on, I would listen to him all the time. Prior to that, it was always like I heard noise about him, like Rush Limbaugh. Never really knew who he was. And of course, I started attacking him because I thought, oh, well, he's attacking this person. He's no good. But then when I listened to myself, again, it requires you just putting aside all of your prejudices, putting aside all of the negativity that you're being fed by the mainstream media and listen to it for yourself. And I thought, man, this guy is incredible. And I've been a follower ever since. Looked forward to getting up to listen to Rush Limbaugh, to what he had to say, because he would break it down. And just like layman's term, he didn't have on any airs. He was just like, hey, here it is. And he would oftentimes say, look, I don't want you to try to love me. He said, you can't win an argument against a liberal. You have to defeat them. And I'm like, that's so true. Sean, what do you say, Matt?
Yeah, and first of all, great to see you guys again. Thanks for having me again. And yeah, unfortunately, this does come on a sad day with Rush passing anyway. And my story with Rush is I'm kind of what they would call a Rush baby. I mean, my dad would listen to him pretty regularly back when I was a kid. All right, and when I was younger, I didn't really listen to Rush as much myself. Anyway, like I was kind of more into the turning into sports radio kind of guy, right? And then later on, in the last, say, decade plus, it got to the point where I was really getting into Rush Limbaugh every day. Couldn't wait till noon to have his show come on, and that's the way it has been up until, his unfortunate passing as of today. And what I liked most about him is that, all the things you guys have said. And for me, his voice was the most reassuring as a conservative goes. Whenever there was something that was bad happening, some bad news, the entire Obama presidency, even going back to, say, the Clinton presidency, he always was the voice of assurance, the voice of reason, and always providing hope for us, kind of talking us down, talking us off the ledge, I would say, And so that really was helpful. And, ironically, this is a time right now where many of us conservatives need to be talked off the ledge because we don't really know where we are right now. Right. And, his voice would be much needed. But, unfortunately, today, he's gone. But, his impact will last us for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. And again, and he set an example as to how Republicans, conservatives need to be and supporting each other. I mean, when Trump first started to run, said he was going to run, Rush said, Trump isn't your typical Republican or conservative, but the ideas that he holds true to, pushing forward our causes, that's what we need. And he saw no one else who was doing it. You think back in the past and all the different conservatives that were Republicans who held that office. And if they were true to the values, yes, some of them said they were, but they were also mixed in wars. They gave to the Democrats, like, okay, we'll give you this and give you that. Whereas Trump was like, no way, it's going to be this way. And a lot of people didn't like that. I heard him on Trump today. I agree with you, Andrew. I was glad to hear his voice. He was on Fox News and he was speaking to them. And I saw him on Greg Kelly. And Greg had the question. He said, no, in hindsight, do you think there's something that you probably could have done differently as far as the way you talked, the way you spoke? He said, well, I think about that. He said, but had I spoke differently, I wouldn't have got done what I got done. And I think about Rush Limbaugh, and he said that he had mentioned that to Rush Limbaugh also. So a lot of people didn't like the way, and still don't, the way the president talks. But I like it because he got things done. And when Rush got on Twitter, I thought, wow, because he did not like social media. They were pretending to be Rush. But once he Twitter, I found it interesting that they did not give him the people that were following him. And he even came on one day, he was like, oh, I've been on Twitter for this long and I've only got these many followers, because they did not want him to translate all of his followers, his 10 million followers, listening to his show over on Twitter, because that would have been a threat. So they did everything they could to stymify his growth on Twitter. And he only got on Twitter because he saw, wait a minute, the Democrats are going to cheat. So now it's time for me to bring in the big guns. I'm going to throw my weight behind the president. And I'm going to show people, yes, we should support this president. But of course, big tech and the media, they had other plans. And they were silencing his voice, not always allowing his tweets to get out there. And at the same time, not allowing his followers to follow him. By saying, oh, you can have only so many followers. It's unbelievable. And now that as he used to say, talent on loan for God, a lot of people hated that. It's like, what is he talking about? Oh no, he thinks he's right up there with God. It was a joke. It's like, people, come on. But the man was talented. He was extremely talented. So my prayers to Rush and his family. I mean, I don't know who can fill those shoes, because he was one of a kind, needless to say. And he didn't even have a college education, because he, long time ago, saw through this whole smoke and mirror screen as to the indoctrination that they were putting into kids. And it made no sense. Rush, the champion. Rest in peace, my friend.
Absolutely. He was really ahead of his time. Rush, he'd always see things sometimes years before anyone else would pick up on it. A lot of what President Trump ran on, Rush was actually talking about for decades beforehand. So, yeah, he will be missed. I'm glad he got to see 4 years of President Trump and a president to live up to his America First ideals. That was nice. I wish he could have seen President Trump be reelected, but unfortunately, that was not in the cards this time.
Yep. And he fought every darn day. I mean, you could, when he would come on with his broadcast, like I said, when he joined Twitter, you could sense and tell that he wanted the president to have a second term. So he was going to do everything he could. And this guy would get on the show. I mean, just having had chemo, and he would say, look, there's some days I may be here, some days I won't be here, but I'm going to try my best to get here. And I think it was week before last. That was the last I heard. I listened to his last show. He said, I've got to go in for treatment. And you know what happens then? He said, I'm going to try to get here. Maybe I can't, because he definitely would have been there during the impeachment and gave us a complete play-by-play. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And now what do you have? The Democrats, the liberals, saying some of the most nastiest things on social media. I thought they had a policy against that. But they can exercise their free speech, but we can't. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, the only thing I said, I felt sorry for her, because I felt that the woman really and truly wanted to step down from the courts, that she really wanted to retire and die at peace with her family. But you had these liberals who are in it for themselves, care nothing about the woman's health, care nothing that, hey, let her go home in peace and be with her family these last final days, constantly egging her on. Oh, no, you got to stay there. You had one saying, oh, I'll give her my kidney. She can't retire. We need her to stay there. It's like, are you serious? You're just selfish, completely selfish. And the only thing I said was that rest in peace. You can't say anything positive about a person, just, say nothing at all. Mm-hmm. But the vitriol from the left, it's like they're celebrating. But, I know Russia's looking down saying, I know you guys are going to do it. And I'm still in your minds rent-free. Just like the president is in their mind rent-free. It's unbelievable, yet it is believable, because that's who they are. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's really sick to hear some of these liberal stuff, celebrating this death, but I'm not surprised by that at all. And unfortunately, this kind of stuff was going to happen. And, I was just reading a Facebook post thread that people were in some sort of celebration over his death. And it's like, I couldn't even come in and comment on that, because it's just like, man, you people are so far gone. You people are so far out there that whatever I do to say is not going to change their minds at all, And that's one of the things that Rush Limbaugh really kind of taught us, was that, like, there's no way that you're going to win some argument with these liberals, because it's just going to go on and on and on, no matter how hard you try to convince them, And another positive aspect about Rush was that, he kind of helped us. He shined the light on some of these Republicans who aren't so good, that we knew of as establishment Republicans or rhinos. So he did a good job with that part as well.
Yep. I agree completely. And then I saw also on Fox News, I saw Chris Wallace. I don't like that guy at all. I detest him. But Rush would agree to go on Chris's show at the beginning of every year, and they would have like a sit down. But Chris Wallace is a piece of trash. He's a scumbag. He's not a journalist. He's an old fart, and he should retire. Did I mention to you guys that I didn't like Chris Wallace? Just want to make certain. just want to make certain. But yeah, you got all these guys coming out there now saying, oh, well, he this. It's like he was showing you how you should be. He didn't go to journalism school, Chris Wallace. You did go. Years ago. I guess you forgot what you were supposed to do, the who, what, where, when, and how, and be objective. But you can't do it because you're not a journalist. Anderson Cooper, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemonhead. You guys are flacks. Rachel Maddow. I mean, have you no decency? You guys can't write yourselves out of a paper bag. You're too elitist. Your head is up here. Well, actually, your head is down below in your butt, and you can't get it out. It's like, come on, show some respect. But he paved the way. He showed you guys how you were supposed to be. But you couldn't do it. And you still can't do it. So hats off. And I remember once people were attacking him saying, oh, well, Rush Limbaugh, he said that Barack Obama, he wants Barack Obama to fail. And he came out, he said, no, I didn't say I wanted him to fail. I said I wanted his policies to fail. So big difference. But of course, the left, identity politics, they're going to say what they want to say. And of course, the sheeps will believe them because they're not looking outside of the fence for real news. It's unbelievable. Speaking of Chris Cuomo, I'm sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
I was just going to say, from the supposed party of tolerance, it's really telling when something like this happens. That's the vile hatred they have to us. It's not just Rush Limbaugh that they're celebrating dying. Unfortunately, they'd be happy if any one of us died. Anybody that supports President Trump or does not think exactly like them. That's how hateful they are at this point.
Completely hateful. And it just goes back to show you the generosity and the kindness of President Trump, because once he got into office, he even said, I'm not going to go after Hillary Clinton. He said, these are nice people. I don't want to hurt them. But little did he know, or perhaps he did know, that they would have put a knife in his back just as soon as look at him. It shows you the vitriol. It shows you the true worth of them and who they are. They're evil and inconsiderate. Now, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sean.
quick question for you. I'll throw this out there to both of you anyway. And, obviously we are all in agreement that, and these other people would be as well, that nobody could fill the shoes of Rush Limbaugh or replace him. Okay. We can throw that out there right away, of course. With that being said, what, as far as the future of that show, which is a big time slot, 12 to 3 every day, what kind of person do you think could be the next permanent host of that show, which would be called something else, but it's such an important time slot for conservatives to tune in and listen to? Who could that person be?
Well, one thing I've heard that they said that they're going to package his different shows and they're going to put them out there in accordance to whatever is taking place at any given point in time. Now, before his death, I think when it was announced he was ill, they were saying who could fill his shoes. Now, believe it or not, some people threw out the name of Laura Ingraham. I don't think she has the gravitas. She's good at her time slot at 10 p.m. on Fox. Does she have the personality to do it? I don't see it. Maybe Sean Hannity, but Sean Hannity already has a time slot. So I don't know who else is out there that could possibly have that presence that he has.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they'll cut it up, but yeah. I think they might just package. Go ahead.
Whoops. Oh, sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't think that anybody will right away be able to replace Rush Limbaugh. It'll have to be an organic thing of someone just gains that amount of popularity. Whoever fills in for him on a show is going to have a tough task. But since Rush has been sick, I have really enjoyed when Mark Stein fills in for Rush, the British guy. He's hilarious. He's a great speaker. And his values and views line up with Rush's perfectly. So I'd really like to see Mark Stein get that airtime.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's interesting.
I think Stein's a great show. Yeah, I mean he's hilarious, and very witty too.
Right. I don't know. I like Mark Stein. I don't know if I could listen to him. And there's something about the British accent that okay. So I don't know if I can listen to him every day, maybe a couple of days, but I don't know about every day. I mean, just the same thing with Piers Morgan. I'm thinking, okay, time's up, buddy, go. But Mark is good. I do watch him when he's on TV. Like you said, he's very witty. There's another person that Rush has on the show. He makes a lot of good points, but he doesn't have that gravitas in his voice to to carry it on. I mean, this guy had like he was a complete package. Like he said, talent on loan from God, and people hated it when he would say it. But in a way, it was true. He was really good at what he did, and he would make things so personal at times. I tried a dozen times to call into the show, and I was never successful. I don't know how people were able to do it. And some people would say, I've been trying to call shows since the 90s. And finally, I got in, which I thought was interesting. And of course, they would say that the guy was a racist. He's racist. He's a homophobic. Yet and still, he apparently had a friendship with Elton John. Elton John sung at his wedding. His producer, Bo Snerdley, is black. And so it's just like when you hear this stuff and you start looking at Rush and the people that he surrounded himself around, but yet and still the liberal media, their write-up about him is that he was a right-wing conservative neo. I'm like, are you neocon? I'm like, are you serious? It's like, and that just brings me to my next topic, the way they're trying to silence the right. And I don't know about you guys, but they're serious about this. They want to, all of Trump's supporters, they're saying, are racist and they're white supremacists. I am not white. I don't want to be white, okay? But they're saying that I'm a white supremacist. And if they do see me, they'll say, okay, he doesn't matter. He's an Uncle Tom. No, he doesn't even count in the equation. So they're trying to silence everyone. They don't want people to work. Trump's lawyer, the guy who defended him, he recently got in contact with this university. He wouldn't name the name. And he told them that, hey, I'm going to be defending the president. And I know that we're in some type of agreement for me to teach a course there in the fall, David Schoen. And he said, I just want to make you guys aware of this. I hope this isn't a problem. They came back to him and said, well, we think it will be a problem. Some of the students, some of the faculty members, so we're not going to have you here. What do you mean? If you're going to have James Comey to teach a class on ethics, of all things, James Comey teaching a class on ethics, but you can't have David Schoen, so you're behaving as if though people aren't entitled to a defense? I don't get it. Then you have all these other big-time attorneys who are defending radical Islamists that try to blow us up. You're okay with that. But when it comes to the president, you want to say that he was a white supremacist, he was Hitler. This is dangerous. And as I've said before, if only we had a true statesman to come out and say, guys, we got to stop this. We can't count on Jimmy Carter. If he wanted to resurrect his failed presidency, all he had to do was be true about it and say, I have sat back and I have listened to this. And the discord is wrong. We might not like what President Trump, his style, but he loves the country. And the things that he has done has served this country well. But Jimmy Carter is too lost in his own self-righteousness and he can't do it. Don't even mention Barack Obama, because he's such an egomaniac, so in love with himself, he probably sleeps with the mirror of his bed. He can't do it. If Bob Dole was, he's an invalid at this point. God rest him. God bless him. I think that he would have the stature to do it, but who else could do it? Because I'm telling you, what's happening right now is extremely dangerous. People should not be afraid to go out and say, we support President Trump. We supported 45. You have the media saying that he lied, he lied, he lied, he lied. He lied about what? You guys haven't even looked at the evidence, haven't even looked at the truth. Whereas Time Magazine put out an article saying how you guys colluded. Does that not count for anything? So to try to diminish this presidency, they say that it was wrong and that he cheated, that he's a supremacist, wrong. And now that I think he should run in 2024. And I think he should get it to prove them all wrong. Because this lie that they're putting out there is completely wrong. You don't have to like the man, but what he did for the country. And people constantly say he's a racist. I'm like, are you serious? Everybody out there who doesn't believe in your ideas you want to say is a racist. And unfortunately, if you say that, it sticks. This is really bad. We can say that Governor Cuomo is a racist for allowing people in the nursing homes to die, and I bet a majority of them were black. But quiet as it's kept. They want to say President Trump and his entire presidency was flawed with racist and white supremacists. Therefore, no one there should work. They should be fired. And we're going to take away all their degrees. Like, are you serious? It's ridiculous. Are you people listening to what you're saying? If Barack Obama, if he, the 44th president, if he loved the country, which is, this questionable, he would come out and say, folks, we got to stop this, but he can't because he has a flawed character. So who's left? We're the ones who are left. Rush, by God rest his soul, was left. But we're the ones who've got to go out there every darn day, every damn day, make certain that people see that what they're being sold and being pushed is a complete lie. It is upsetting, and it has to stop. You have good people that you're going out trying to cancel. They can't get a defense. People who would have wanted to represent the president, but they're afraid because someone might attack their family. You got John Roberts, the Chief Justice, who should just retire and just go to no man's land. He's still afraid of his own shadow because he thinks people are going to attack him, that he's just giving away the entire house and the kitchen sink. It's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it really is. We've seen the takeover of free speech, in my mind, after January 6th. I believe it was January 8th when they suspended President Trump from Twitter, Facebook, and all of the big tech companies at the same time. And not only did that, they also banned all of his supporters. And then they got Parler shut down. It was an attempt to completely shut down the right and them having a voice anywhere on the internet. Thankfully, some companies like Telegram, Gab, and Parler's back now have stepped up and filled the gap.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big purge going back to January, right? And that's when you guys lost your accounts. I think I was talking with you on that day when you lost your accounts on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And my account is actually still on Twitter. The big dinosaur is still there. However, I've kind of stayed off of it for probably a good month or so, kind of debating what to do with that account. I've gravitated over towards things like Telegram, like you guys had mentioned anyway. But I've kind of laid low a little bit, because it's just like, man, people get booted from a place like Twitter or Facebook for very little things now. One example, going back to Twitter, which they've been doing for a while now, is if you're a Trump supporter that supports what we call the Q movement, right? If you post Q stuff on there, okay, they're going to label that as far-right conspiracy theory, total wrong, quack, whatever you want to call it in a negative manner, right? Well, okay, they can call it what they want, but then they're going to ban those people from that platform for posting anything Q related. So my question to that is like, well, if these people are so far bonkers and their theories are so wrong, why do you want to ban that so much? There must be something in there that links to some sort of truth, that you're getting stuff out there. And my opinion is this gets into some of these bigwigs, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, Jack Dorsey of Twitter, Jeff Bezos of Amazon just stepped down the other day. Okay. Now these could be coincidences, but there could be something much deeper. Like, what do they have to hide that something like a Q post may have uncovered, at least to a little bit? And, the censorship is more and more, and, they get so triggered, people like Zuckerberg, that, people get banned for very little things these days. And I think it's because that, they're starting to uncover some of these bad things about these high level corporate figures, that they aren't such saints.
Right. These social media companies still haven't figured out the more that you try and ban something or hide something, the more that people are going to look into whatever you are banning or hiding. So really, if they're worried about people going further to the right, they are definitely enhancing that by silencing us and putting us all in a platform where we're surrounded by other people who are Republicans as well. And then it ends up where places like Gab and Telegram and then Twitter and Facebook, they're all basically echo chambers for one side or the other.
Yeah, I agree completely with both of you are saying. And you would think that these guys, as smart as they claim to be, that they would realize that if you, just like with a kid, if you tell a kid not to do something, that curiosity is going to make them want to do it. Try to take something down, people are going to follow it. But I think it's a little deeper than that. Yeah, you have the guy Bezos stepping down, but he's still going to be, created some title whereby he's a head of something, head of the board, so he'll know what's going on. But he steps aside so that he could go around traveling like Bill Gates and setting foreign policy and telling people this is what you should do and this is what you shouldn't do. Who the freak is Bill Gates? He knows nothing about government. He knows nothing about drugs and the medicines, but he has made himself this guru. Well, I think we should do this and I think we should do that. Okay, thank you, but no thank you. You're entitled to your opinion, but that doesn't mean we have to listen to you. But because he has all this money, that he can throw out there, these politicians will believe them. So they can create their own little crazy Shangri-La that we have to follow. Albeit it makes absolutely no sense. Case in point, windmills. Okay, now the power source. Oh, let's clean energy. Let's shut down the Keystone and let's put up these power windmills all over. I remember driving up through Pennsylvania and I saw them out there. Oh, they look really nice. You know, they're all going around because of the wind and whatnot. But what has happened in Texas? They're frozen up. People are freezing up. This renewable energy, these power windmills that's supposed to generate all this heat and whatnot, they can't do it. Is the media talking about it? Absolutely not. They're not being critical. And of course, people don't know what's happening. They see the windmills frozen, but it's like this is what they're trying to push on you. The Bill Gates, Bezos, they're saying, oh, you use this. But how much you want to bet that they have their own little private source of energy and gas? Look at Al Gore going around saying an inconvenient truth and how we've got to stop and that the earth is going to be destroyed within 13 years and that Antarctica is going to be all melted away. Oh, really? What about the snowstorms that we're having? I thought you guys said we weren't going to have them anymore. Meanwhile, he's on his Gulf Stream polluting up to wazoo, but he's telling you, you can't do it. Really now, Al Gore? I don't think so. So you guys are all your money trying to set policy and tell us what to do and what not to do, but you're doing something completely different. It's like, we got to wake up. They want to take away from us, but they're enriching themselves. So this whole thing with Jeff, oh, I'm going to step aside. Oh, yeah, you're going to step aside. They're going to probably go to the White House because the majority of the people that are working in the White House are probably from Silicon Valley. They're probably from Silicon Valley. They're telling Biden what we can do, what we can't do. Oh, we're not going to say this. We're going to make certain that you look good. And if anybody says anything that makes you look bad, we're going to take it down. He goes all the way to Wisconsin, a town hall, and that nutcase Anderson Cooper can't ask him anything of significance. He can't ask him anything about Cuomo. But what did Cuomo know, and when did he know it? Instead, oh, what color are your socks? And how did you and Jill? What did you guys do on Valentine's Day? And how do you think about this? What are you serious? I mean, this is ridiculous. That is the reason why I don't watch those guys, because they're spinning lies. And now we find out that CNN is saying, "Oh, well, we're not going to put Chris Cuomo can no longer interview his brother Andrew." Big whip-de-doo. The damage has been done. You guys should have thought about that earlier on. So who cares if he doesn't come on the show? He probably doesn't want to come on the show now, because if he does, it's going to make them look like idiots that Chris doesn't ask him hard-hitting questions about what did you know and when did you know it. You old folks killer. He's a murderer. He should be charged. He should be impeached. Had this been a Republican, they would have his head already.
Rob froze up, but yeah, not only that they've been banned from being on the show together. The worst part of it all is back in March and April, when all these people were dying, Andrew Cuomo was going on the show with his brother every night, and they were laughing and having a good time, acting like everything was all right. At the same time, Andrew Cuomo was sending elderly into nursing homes to catch COVID. It's just complete double standard by the media in this instance. And as Rob said, the damage has already been done, except this is just another blow to CNN's credibility, if there's any left.
They had no credibility. The only credibility they have is with their cuckoo viewers. Okay, they tune in every night to the Cartoon News Network just for a good joke and a good laugh. That's the only reason why they're there. They want to make themselves feel good. It's a, so to speak, of I guess, verification that, okay, you guys, you're okay. We know that you're dumb. We know that you're stupid, but we're going to make your life a lot better by attacking the truth, because we're certainly not going to give you the truth. A bunch of clowns.
I think anymore with the news is that things have shifted so much that people are, moving away from places like CNN, MSNBC, anything mainstream. We've seen this movement now away from Fox News, because Fox News has done their bit of a left turn,
Yep.
And, where do I get my news now, or you guys, for example? I mean, podcasts just like this is where we get a lot of our news.
Yeah.
Podcasts from different people I never had heard of from like 2 months ago, doing a podcast, might be from their basement or some underground bunker. But I trust news sources like that more so than anything I see on TV,
Definitely.
And now there's a network on places like Telegram where, there's a few of these new kind of like podcast stars emerging where, some people are doing a podcast every day and like, they're really get locked in on things. There's podcasts that have guys on like Michael Flynn, and you're really seeing that grow and develop to where, this is the news for me now, and probably for you guys too, is that like podcasts just like this are better news source than anything I would do by turning on TV and CNN. And then there's so much of a disconnect now between anything you see on those news networks, even what were some of the good ones before, like Fox News. Well, that has drifted away, on
Yep.
Fox News, there's maybe a couple people I like there now, like, Greg Gutfeld's a okay one, I like him. Jesse Waters, I still like those guys, but it's really eroded as far as the rest of those personalities. And like you mentioned, Chris Wallace, I would turn him off in a second.
Yeah, he's a complete idiot. He's a complete idiot. What he says makes absolutely no sense. He's completely biased. And like you said, whenever he comes on, I turn him off. When they had him discussing Rush Limbaugh today, I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Next, I don't want to hear what this guy has to say because whatever he's going to say, Max, makes absolutely no sense. But you're right, Sean G. As far as getting the news, because you're not going to get it from these stations. They're too busy still trying to attack Trump, still trying to bring him down, still trying to find some mechanism, some way to put him in jail when the real culprits are the Democrats. And if people would just take a step back and look at it and realize that they're the culprits. You have Nancy Pelosi, who has picked this guy, General, he's a retired General Russell Honoré, it's a French last name, Cajun rather, to investigate. He's a lead security who's going to look at the response at the Capitol riots. Well, I can tell you right now, when he finds the truth, he'll probably shut his books up and say nothing to see here, because we all know the buck stops with Nancy Pelosi. They've been telling us for days that it's the president, whereas the president said, hey, this is what we need to do, but they turned him down. Where is Muriel Browser? Why has she all at once just disappeared? She's a mayor of D.C. She's responsible, but she's off hiding somewhere. And people don't have the common sense to think, wait a minute, D.C. is a federal territory. It's not a state. The laws are different. Nancy Pelosi is responsible for the security. Muriel Browser was responsible for ensuring that there was security during the rally. She has to provide the rights for people to go out, permit people to go rally. We're hiding. Meanwhile, Ashley Babbitt was shot. Now, you can say what you will. Well, she was entering an area that she shouldn't have been. She was unarmed and she was shot. And no one has said a damn thing about it. And the police officer who was hit in the head, he was a Trump supporter who was speaking out against the Democrats. Now, of course, they had this whole hoopla about, oh, he died and we're going to have a service and we want people to realize this and understand this. But once they started digging deeper and realized where his stance was, as quiet as it's kept. They're yet to release the death certificate. Why? Unanswered questions. Why haven't they released it? What do they know that they're not telling us? They told us 5 people died the day, January 6th. They were wrong. 2 people. 1 person had a heart attack. 1 woman was trampled accidentally. And then the other lady was shot. So, no, 2. 1 lady was shot. 1 lady was trampled. And then another guy had a heart attack the next day. And then 2 other officers committed suicide. But they're telling you that people died on January 6th. It's a big lie. It's a hoax. Mm-hmm. And if you play the video, you will see that people were being escorted into the Capitol. If you play the video, yes, there are people on the outside that were making a lot of noise. But as we know now, the Democrats so conveniently cut and pasted videos to make it seem as if though There was more to meet the eye. But all I would refer you to is the spring and summer of 2020, when you had Antifa and Black Lives Matter out there burning down state and federal buildings, taking over state and federal grounds, putting graffiti all over the place, crapping all over the place, threatening police officers, killing police officers, burning down black businesses. And we were told, oh, that's okay. That's freedom. That's okay. Who told us that protest has to be nonviolent? Well, the Constitution, that's what told us that. But quiet as it's kept, we're told nothing to see here. Look the other way, because we have to look at the white supremacist. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Rob, as a black man, how does it make you feel to see an organization like the NAACP, which is supposed to be fighting for people like you and their rights, and now they're getting involved in this Capitol insurrection, as they call it? It just seems so out of place and misguided with all that's wrong in a lot of these black communities. This is what they decide to spend time, money, and resources on.
Well, I mean, as not only just as a black man, but as a man, as an American citizen, patriot, NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which was founded by both blacks and whites, I think, and a Chinese man, or an Asian, I won't say Chinese. When you look at what they're done, I think lost their significance, and I think lost their way right after Martin Luther King was assassinated, because they started going into different directions. You have different little, they have inner bickering, fighting between themselves. They don't know which direction, which end is up, and now knowing that they are siding and they're creating, a subclass of citizens, it's ridiculous. How are you going to go and attack your fellow citizens, your white brethren, and want to belittle them when that is what happened to you years ago? You would think you want to uplift everyone, but it's not the case. Now, some of them, some of the organizations, their intentions, and they mean well, but as it is in everything, as it is with the Republican Party, you have those that are at the top suppressing the true meaning of what they're supposed to be doing. So within the NAACP itself, you have those individuals who say, wait a minute, we've lost sight of the goal. We've lost sight of our missive. We've wandered completely off the battlefield. We've entered into this whole vaudeville era of wanting to be popular, wanting to be the secular thing, and wanting to be entertaining and all this other stuff. We just completely lost ourselves. And I think it's true of many civil rights organizations that are out there. You look at the Rainbow Coalition and Jesse Jackson. I mean, they've just lost their direction, because you have people who are looking at the money, and they know that how can I get the money is by screaming racism. That's how I can get the attention. Look at the ACLU. I mean, you have a lot of venerable organizations that were out there to help people, and they've completely lost it. And it's like, how do you get them back to where they belong? How do you wrestle that power out of their hands and bring it back to the foundation? As to where it should be. Impossible is because you have people that are in power that have all this influence, and they're selling people a bill of goods that's completely wrong. And what will help them out? Well, this whole thing with racism and prejudice. I mean, I hate talking about it all the time, but that is the flavor of the day. Racism. You play the race card. It will stop you every way. I mean, we're talking about The Bachelor. Look at what they're doing. They're pulling the race card. Up and down entertainment. The Oscars are coming up. They're pulling the race card there. Oh, you have to nominate a black actor and a black actress. Well, if they weren't good, why would you nominate them? But at the same time, if you're saying that they weren't nominated, then what are the liberal studio houses doing? Why aren't they putting more black people in these movies? It is up to them. But instead, they'll put the fault on everyone else instead of themselves. And then people follow along with it. And then they start creating these awards for participation. And you're like, come on. Excuse me. That wasn't good. That person was horrible in that movie. But, participation, so we've got to put them there. So all these groups have become so enmeshed and so embroiled and lost their direction that they don't know which end is up. So back to the question, how do I feel? I think it's ridiculous. And it saddens me, because these institutions did have a place in society, and they had a mission statement. But they lost themselves in this whole new identity politics and wanted to be popular, that they can't move forward. So in my opinion, they've become worthless, and it's all about the money. the money and the fame. And if I give you this, you'll go away. Okay, right, I'll go away. You look at Al Sharpton. For the longest, he would go on Wall Street and shake down big company CEOs, and then they would give in. Look at what these companies are doing now. They're giving in to the woke culture, saying all these. Well, we got to have a class in white fragility. We've got to have a class. We've got to let you know that you need to respect these people. So let me ask you, as a white man, Andrew, how do you feel about that? If you were to go in, they tell you you've got to take a class on white fragility because you're entitled to all these things and you didn't know it. So we want you to know about it. And by the way, you're also a bad man because you're a white man. And because you're a man, that makes you equally bad. How does it make you feel when you hear that crap?
Yeah, I'll let Sean comment on this too. But my feelings are, it just seems like the left is intent on making whites feel shame for their history. They want to delete all of white history. We see these renaming of schools like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. These are great white Americans in our past, and the left is trying to erase them. They're trying to make you feel like if you're white, you should be ashamed of your history. It's bad. Your ancestors are bad. And every other culture, you look at the Mexican culture, you look at the Black community, they're all very proud of their past and history. And you don't see that from a lot of white people, especially in the left-wing party. It's just very sad what they're trying to do to white history and how they're trying to make white people feel about themselves.
Yeah, I mean, like right now we're in February, which is Black History Month, and then, it's like, well, there's not going to be a White History Month. Now, is there? That would never be allowed. And so, we're in this month now. And, this gets back into one of those sayings where they say, get woke, go broke. And that's what you're seeing happening, the film industry, the films now, you take any film, let's say it had a bunch of white people in the cast back in the 1980s, right? Well, you have to change
this
that
all
film.
the time.
Yeah, you got to change that film now to make that either minority cast, LGBTQ cast, whatever it is, transgender. That movie is gone. And if somebody was like this white superhero, well, you need to remake that movie and change that guy's color, right? And this happening now in our sports. I'm a huge sports fan, and my love of sports has gone downhill in the past year, where we have woke sports, and the NBA, getting their woke message, their BLM, whatever it is, they've gone way downhill ratings wise. The NFL and their kneeling controversy seems to have continued, and the ratings have shown. And, it's seemingly hit every sport, like baseball, they got woke and they lost their ratings. Even NASCAR with the whole Bubba Wallace thing, Bubba Wallace, is really naive or stupid for, coming up with this racism story about a garage rope that he's seen in a NASCAR garage hundreds of times. And these sports, they're destroying themselves, and the media companies controlling them are destroying themselves in turn by their ratings or lack thereof. I think the only thing that might be safe as far as sports goes is golf. Golf, they do their own thing. And they had their own hero, Tiger Woods, who was a black guy. Well, guess what? He did not go woke. He did not get political. He just played his game, and which was a great game.
Yep. And rightfully so. That's what he should have done. But those are some good points you mentioned as far as, movies that were out there. You think about it. I don't know if you guys remember, I've seen these in reruns, Sanford and Son, Archie Bunker, All in the Family, The Jeffersons. Those are sitcoms that they would not put out today because of the content. And this was during the early 70s.
Great shows, too.
Right. During the 70s, the comedy and some of the things they were saying, but we become so sensitive. You would think it would have been sensitive then, but now we become so sensitive that, God forbid if they would have put it out there, people, well, we need to erase this. We need to take this out and take that person out because we didn't have enough black people. And he was saying this and we can't say that. It's like, are you serious? And then going to the sports. It's just going all over the freaking place. I was reading today of this one boxer, transgender. She got into the ring with another girl and she beat the heck out of her. I'm like, I would have gotten in the ring. I would have protested and said, no, this is a man. This is a man. Why would I get into the ring with a man? It's transgender. Now, I have nothing against my transgender brothers and sisters. Okay, but this has got to stop. Competing in the sports, they're going to win. As Martina Navratilova said, there's no way you can compete. The man is physiologically, he's going to win. But the woke culture tells us, oh, no, 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 don't look at it that way. No, no, no. We're the laughing stock of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're trying to become this complete salad bowl of all these mixes. And, you can say that you can declare your gender when you're 16 years old. If you don't like it, you can change it again when you're 20. Everything is fluid. It is not freaking fluid. Follow the freaking science. They're constantly telling us to follow the science. But when they are confronted with the science and they don't like it, they want to dismiss the science. Kamala Harris, case in point. The science says get the kids back to school. She wants to lie and say, oh, well, we don't know if teachers need the vaccine. They should, they shouldn't. And then you have Jen Psaki saying that the head of the CDC, she's speaking in her own capacity. How the heck is she speaking in her own capacity? She's at her office and they're asking her a question in her capacity as a CDC director, Jen Psaki. And the media will not call her out on it. It's like, this is crazy. We're living in crazy land. This is vaudeville.
Mm-hmm.
And the world is laughing at us because we're claiming that we don't know if a boy is a boy or a girl is a girl. Well, pull your pants down. If it's a penis, you're a man or a male. If it's a vagina, you're a female or a girl. I mean, it's like, come on. It's not rocket scientists. It's just plain science, biology, physiology. We got to stop this stuff. This wokeism. It's like, we're not perfect, okay? No one is perfect, but we're trying to get there. We're trying to understand each other, but we can't do it if you're going to counsel people out. Well, I'm going to counsel you out because I don't like what you said. I'm going to counsel you out because you called me a he and I want to be a she. So you should be fired from your job. Then what about this? What about the straight people? What does that put us? In the minority? We can't say anything? I mean, the rules are changing so often. I need a manual. I need a book so that when I wake up and go out there, I can say, okay, I'm supposed to say this today. The color purple is bad. The color purple is good. I mean, it's crazy. We've got to stop this. It is ridiculous. But the left, they enjoy this confusion. But yet and still, if it hits them, then they're like, oh, well, look at Justin Timberlake. We got to be mad at him because of what he did to Britney Spears years ago. So let's be mad at him. And then this knucklehead comes out and says, oh, well, I'm sorry because I didn't realize that my color and my gender gave me all. It's like, are you serious, you nutcase? Now, granted, I felt that he handled the situation bad, but I didn't say he handled it bad because of his gender. I said he handled it bad because he was trying to protect his own career. But to come out and say, oh, well, I was a male and, this male toxicity and, they treat males differently. Dude, BS. I call it BS. Wake the heck up.
Yeah.
You're buying this whole lie that the media is putting out there.
Yeah. It's almost like he's apologizing for being white if you really read into what he's saying.
Apologize for being white. Apologize for being a male. It's like, come on. What do you have?
And who really cares? Oops, sorry, Rob. I was just going to say, who really cares? I know the media is covering this like crazy, but who really cares what happened with Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears when they were like, 20, 21 years old? I mean, I didn't know my head from my asshole when I was 21 years old. So, just to think that he's still getting hate for something that he did when he was like 20 years old in a relationship he had then. It's just unnecessary.
They were kids. I mean, they made a mistake.
Exactly.
He claimed that she slept with someone. He claimed he did. I'm like, who the bleep cares? But him saying, well, I apologize because, I was white and I apologize because I was a man. I should have been a she-man. If I were his wife, I would have said, dude, get out. Get out. Okay, what you did was wrong those years ago. Just say, hey, it was a mistake. I should have stood up. I should have supported them, but I didn't. But apologizing for being a man, and of course, they will use that going forward and say, see, he apologized, so why can't this person apologize? The entire world would be apologizing. I'm not going to apologize for being a black man. I'm not going to apologize for being a man. I'm not going to apologize for being a male. I enjoy being a male, okay? But the way society is, I should wake up tomorrow and put on a skirt and walk outside and say, I dare anyone to call me Rob. They better know to call me Roberta, because if they don't, I'm going to sue. You would have some knucklehead lawyer say, okay, we're going to take your case on. Are you serious? Is this what it has come to? Come on, folks. We got to wake up. This is scary.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if you look at the history of Timberlake and Britney Spears, right? They met when they were child actors on Disney. I think it was the Mickey Mouse Club. Okay. Later on in life, they became a celebrity romance. They both probably had their fun in different ways. They had the breakup. It was a big breakup. And then Britney Spears went out with a guy. If you remember, his name's Kevin Federline. Went
Yep.
by K-Fed.
He was a
And Justin
dancer.
Timberlake. Yeah. Oh yeah, dancer. And Timberlake, he got with some models after that, and he seemed to have won this battle between him and Britney Spears. And the unfortunate side of this now is I've heard some of the stories about Britney Spears and her family and her parents and stuff, and I mean, like, seems like she's really in a bad place right now as far as, like, just celebrity and loss of control and stuff. I mean, it's a real rough situation there on that side. And Timberlake is still one of these high level pop stars, but yeah, I mean, he got woke as well, saying almost like he was apologizing for being white. And it just seems weird. And I think we're all kind of sick of this woke sense of culture.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And you can't enjoy life anymore because if you say the wrong thing, if you do the wrong thing, not knowing that you're saying and doing the wrong thing, you will have the politically correct police out there to attack you. They might not attack you now, but at some given point in time, they will come out and they will attack you. And then, of course, they'll bring up the usual identity politics, either racism or toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm. But if you want to attack white people or conservatives, you've got a free pass, just like this actress Bette Midler saying that the winter storm that has left almost 7 million Texans without power is payback for GOP Texas Senators Ted Cruz and John Cornyn previously not acknowledging President Biden's win in the 2020 election. So here she's saying that this historic winter storm in Texas, a storm unlike they've seen in 100 years, is apparently Ted Cruz and John Cornyn's fault because they did not believe in the fraudulent election.
Here's the thing. Who the heck is Bette Midler? A singer. Maybe she sings good. Maybe she used to sing "I Be a Beast of Burden," and she would come on stage, dressed rather revealing. But that's all she is a singer. And if anyone is going to take stock to what she's saying, stupidity, shame on you. You deserve Bette Midler. You deserve Cher. Okay, these Hollywood bigwigs don't know their butt from their head. Okay. But yet and still, they want to come out and extol the virtues as to what we should and we shouldn't do. I'm sorry. Everyone is entitled to their opinions, but you guys need to really shut the freak up. Okay, just shut up. Because what you're saying doesn't make any sense. We could perhaps say, Texas is frozen over because you had all these crazy liberals moving in trying to change things with this whole solar meal deal, which is a bunch of crap. Why aren't they telling people this is what, if we do away with electricity and do away with gas, when a storm does happen and the winds aren't blowing, you're going to freeze the heck up. This is what they should be telling people, but they won't. They'll sit there and it was frozen. Okay, we still need to get renewable energy. Oh, we still need to let Joe Biden increase the employment line by 11,000 because he's going to shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Here's my question. Did any of these people vote for Joe Biden? If they did, you got what you deserve because you should have known not to vote for the guy. I mean, the guy is decrepit. He cares nothing for you. And I remember during the election, they were saying, well, maybe he's not going to be like this. He's in the center. I'm like, no. What you see is what you get. The man is senile. So Bette Midler, shut up. Okay? Just shut up. And people who are listening to her and the media that are always running to put her quotes in the headlines, shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please.
Are you guys surprised at just how aggressive Joe Biden has been in this first month with executive orders and trying to sign legislation? In just a month, he's already setting up a pathway to citizenship for 11 million illegals. He shut down the construction of the border wall. He shut down the Keystone Pipeline that cost thousands of jobs already. He's ignored our allies in Israel. He's rejoined the Chinese sympathizing World Health Organization. He rejoined the job-killing disaster, the Paris Climate Accord. And he's had a plethora of other job-killing regulations that put America last, and American workers and Americans are going to be behind in it all. Have you guys been surprised with how aggressive Joe Biden has been thus far in his short tenure?
I think so. And, you know, the thing is, too, and I've said it going back to the inauguration day or whatever, right? You know, it feels like this is a movie. It feels like this is a bad movie, but it still feels like a movie. And really, it's just like, man, everything seems very surreal. Everything seems kind of fake. You know, you look at the video of Biden, is like, is that really Biden? You know, and all this stuff. And, you know, whatever this Biden presidency, we can even quote unquote it, is, you know, it's not long for the world. It's not going to last. And if they want to go to a Kamala Harris presidency, it seems like many on that side want to do, well, that's not going to last either. And if I want to give a positive spin to this, silver lining, if you will, is having this happen and play out in front of us with the Biden and the media and everybody else connected to that, is so many more people are getting what we call red pilled. So many more people are coming on our side, our movement, you know. And, you know, if the election weren't a fraudulent election, it, you know, we come to know that it would have been a huge Trump landslide, right? Trump getting amazing amount of states, almost Reagan-esque, where you remember when Reagan won 49 out of 50 states back in the 80s, it was getting to that level. And, you know, in this case now, with whatever this presidency is with Biden, you're getting even more people woke, and more people woke in the good way, I mean, you know. And so, I mean, this is going to destroy itself, and we can probably just sit back and watch it destroy themselves and, you know, see where we are here in the next, say, few months.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with Joe and his antics. He's going to try to get as done as possible, and it might not even be Joe Biden. It could just be his handlers in the background that are doing this. They want to try to push everything through as much as possible. They wanted, well, what they're trying to do is what Trump did, but Trump didn't do all these executive orders. Trump just made America great again with what he had, saying, I'm just going to do this, that, and just undo and show people this is all you have to do. That's what they're doing. Unfortunately, what they're doing is destroying the economy and destroying America. Mm-hmm. Biden can't decide if kids should go back to school. He's on the fence. Okay, they had this whole thing with don't take the vaccine. Now people are saying we don't want to take it, but he's going to come out and say, oh, by this time, we're going to have all vaccine in all these arms. Then you have Kamala Harris saying, oh, well, you guys don't understand. When we came in, they left us with the mess. No, you just didn't know what to do. Okay, come on, girlfriend, stop lying. You're in over your head. Stop lying, because Dr. Fauci came out and said, no, there was information there. Dr. Fauci, who's now pushing public policy, who should be fired. It's like, seriously? So, yeah, I'm not surprised. And you probably have the handlers in the back that are saying, do this and do that. Let's do it before they realize it. Busy focusing in on Trump and this fake insurrection. The only insurrection that took place was during the spring and summer of 2020, whereby people died, black businesses were burned, state buildings were burned, as well as federal buildings. And it's still going on in Seattle right now. So, but people don't see it because the media won't talk about it. People are dying because of Andrew Cuomo. They won't talk about it. They have Joe Biden seeming as if, he's the smartest person out there. And I got to give it to him. Since he's been going out there, he has stumbled a couple of times, but for the most part, he stayed on script, because they're probably more than likely have him in the basement saying, you got to say this, you got to say that. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're feeding him things in his ears. And we'll find this out sooner or later. So no, I mean, they're going to push as much as they can while they can before people really wake up and say, what the heck has happened here? Yes, I agree, Megan. The media is on the down low, and it's really bad. And that is the reason why we're here to expose them. We get the news, we get what they're spinning, and then we come out and we speak the truth. I'm looking at something right now that came up at Time Magazine. It says, Rush Limbaugh leaves behind a conservative movement no longer interested in the truth. That alarms me as a conservative. Now, I don't know what knucklehead wrote that. Let me see what conservative wrote it. John Walsh. I mean, we kill ourselves. We kill our own. These so-called conservatives, they don't like Trump. They hate the fact that Trump came in, and the party does belong to Trump. They want to be able to keep the whole status quo. They want to be able to play, you're a racist, you're not a racist with the Democrats, because it is a game. Because if you look at all the other conservatives, they would play this game, you're racist, and the conservative wouldn't say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'll keep them guessing. Whereas Donald Trump, he will push back and say, hell no. No, I'm not taking this. I am not. You're the ones who are. So these people that are saying, oh, well, we don't know what's going to happen to conservatives. No, they're gleefully glad about Rush dying, as we said earlier on, because they're thinking the party is just going to explode. The only thing we have to do, pick up those few 10 Republicans who aren't worth anything, Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Ben Sass, Mitt Romney, that cast Bill Cassidy, Richard Burr, Adam Zingzanger. Kick them out of the party. Get rid of them. We don't need them. They're dead weight. They're not going to do anything for the party. They're trying to do their own thing. Kick them out. They said that Trump is doing something right now. He's going to announce it in the next couple of days. Apparently, he was going to announce it on Sean Hannity, but unfortunately, his friend Rush Limbaugh died. But whatever he's doing, I hope he's getting ready to say, we're going to primary a lot of these knuckles and get them out, because we want them out. We don't want them in the party anymore because they do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, absolutely right, Rob. And moving along to the COVID-19 vaccine, another story just came out about a Detroit TV news anchor who was 68 years old, died just one day after receiving her COVID-19 shot. Fox News did an article last week about a person who died literally in the lobby after receiving the COVID-19 shot. We already know about Hank Aaron, who the famous Major League Baseball player who passed away just 2 weeks after being all over TV, bragging about getting his COVID-19 shot. My grandmother got this shot, and she said it made her feel very dizzy, and her arm was numb for a couple of days afterwards. Seems like there's a lot of side effects to this vaccine. Personally, I'm going to have the wait and see approach. And by wait and see, I'm going to mean a couple of 2 or 3 years at least to see how people react from this. Sean, what have you made of this vaccine controversy? Are you anxious to take it, or is it going to be a wait and see approach for you as well?
Well, for me, I have not taken it, and it kind of is a wait and see approach. And I've heard some of the stories, some of the bad stories that you mentioned there about the vaccine. Now, I've had talked to people that have taken the vaccine and they're doing just fine, so I'm not that afraid of it. What probably from more of a personal level is it's like saying, I would need to have the vaccine to be able to go on an airplane, for example. That may happen in the future. Or to say, I want to go to this concert. Well, to get in the venue, I need to show I have a vaccine, If from a selfish standpoint, I'm like, well, maybe I'll get the vaccine then, But yeah, I certainly have heard some of the controversy for it, because, this is a really quick time that a vaccine has been created. Now, on a plus side, well, this was Trump's plan, Trump made this quick vaccine. So the Biden people can't take any credit for this. They'll try to, but this is Trump's plan, the vaccine, in probably a record time for any vaccine, right? And, so, personally, I've never even taken a flu shot and never really had the interest in doing so,
Uh-huh.
And if you notice that some of the numbers where we've had COVID-19 in the last year plus or whatever, no one's gotten the flu. What you're going to start to see once the COVID numbers are dropping, because they are dropping, you're going to see more of the flu come back, because that's just, we're having an outbreak of the flu again. But don't worry, COVID-19 is going away because you guys are vaccinated. And, so it's really a manipulation there by the media and all these people, that want, I guess, Biden to become the hero now, who is beaten COVID-19, and it's all false, and the people aren't noticing this, and they're awakening.
Yeah, you're right. As far as the vaccine, I don't see the need to take it. I'm sick now. I think it's just my sinuses, so I don't think I have COVID-19. I've been tested, but this was Trump's vaccine. I feel comfortable with it if I had to take it. I know that I've heard about some people that have died, but I think that, as it is with anything, you're going to have that happen. I'm sure that people who've taken the flu shot, and I did take the flu shot this year, excuse me, I think some people have died. But of course, the media will, always try to, headline that, but not as much because they want to try to link this to Joe Biden. But what I do find interesting is that we have a lot of liberals that are out there lying and cheating to take the vaccine after telling everyone, don't do it. This is Trump's and Trump's doesn't know how to do it. But they're now lining up, flying all over the world to take the vaccine. And these are liberals. My, how do things change? Now they want to take it. Really? Are you serious? After saying that if Trump had anything to do with it, it couldn't be good? Yeah, right. But yet people, they're not looking at that. The media won't call them out on it. They're just basically, we're going to take it. And it is Joe Biden. This Joe Biden, my fat on Harriet. Please, give me a break. These people need to wake up and just be honest. Just tell the truth. Trump did a good job and no one else could have done it. He worked with corporate America, although they worked against him and colluding to make certain that he wouldn't get a second term. But yet and still, he got the vaccine out there. And they so conveniently made the announcement that the vaccine was ready right after the election. Now, you tell me that that wasn't planned. Come on, folks. Let's get with it. That's collusion that they should be investigating. That is collusion that they should look into. And if I were the Republicans, I would say, we need to look at this. We need to see what exactly happened. But no, they'll just sit there, those rhinos, they'll just sit like little boys and girls and say absolutely nothing and twiddle their fingers and their thumbs. Like, wake up, please. Grow a backbone, grow a spine. Jeez.
Yeah. Rob, we had a question in the chat room for you. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but Joni Fitch asked, what did you think about Beijing Biden saying the blacks and I think Mexicans don't know how to use the internet? Did you happen to see that statement from Biden?
Well, interestingly enough, someone just sent me a text saying the same thing, what Joe Biden had said. I'm not at all surprised because Joe Biden told me that I'm not black because I didn't vote for him. So I'm not at all surprised that he'll make these disparaging remarks. And of course, black people will just, oh no, this is what he meant. No, he meant what he said, and he said what he meant. Now, if President Trump had said that, we would probably, some blacks would be out there marching right now with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. But Joe said, and it's like, oh, well, we know what he meant. No, I don't know what the hell he meant. There was a disparaging remark. He shouldn't have said it. Black people aren't going in for the shot because they're afraid because you got them all scared and you told them not to take it. Take responsibility. Own up to it. In New York City, they're not taking it because Cuomo told them not to take it. And just as soon as Biden came in, became president, as soon as he stole the election, yes, it was thievery. Let's just be honest. He wants to come out and say, we want black people and Hispanic people to take it first. And what do black people and Hispanic people do? They say, no way, OJ. On the show, I think 2 shows ago, I think it's safe if you do take it black people and brown people. Because do you think that these white liberals that are out there running to take it now, that they would take it if they felt that it wasn't safe? Heck no. So they're glad that you're not taking it. They don't want you to take it because it's more for them. And then once they've taken it, they'll sit back and they'll say, oh, they're racist because they won't let the black people take it. But you liberal whites have already taken it. Folks, wake up. Look at what they're doing. They're playing you like a cheap fiddler. You got to wake up. So to answer her question, I'm not surprised. He'll probably say worse than that. And he'll keep saying it until people wake up, until people start watching shows like ours and seeing that we're speaking the truth and we're calling out all of this craziness, all of this deception that makes absolutely no sense that they're using to divide us. Mm-hmm. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Well said, Rob. And before we wrap up, Sean, it's been a while since we've had you on, so we'll let you steer us out with the topic. What have you been concentrating on these last month or so? Anything that you'd like to bring up that we could discuss?
Yeah, I mean, just in, the past month or so, it's just been kind of a big fog, just kind of sitting there like, what really is going on, and it's, like I've taken a little break from Twitter. I wasn't suspended. I still have an account there, but I've taken a bit of a step back. And, in many ways it's refreshing because you're away from some of these social media platforms that, are really censoring people and stuff. And, you get more into it. Hey, real life relationships, which is certainly always a good thing to be doing, even though, of course, we are good online buddies and stuff. I think too, going back to the discussion about the vaccines, right? It's like, okay, you take a vaccine, well, then you're supposed to take a second vaccine, like within, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks apart. And then, you're then still supposed to wear a mask. And it's like, wait a minute, why do I need to wear a mask if I've been vaccinated, which is twice, and it just doesn't make sense anymore. It's like, when do the mask mandates go away, because there's always going to be illness out there. There's always going to be like, okay, maybe you should wear a mask because of a common cold, right? Or the flu, it's like, how do we get back to this sense of normalcy? Because way it is now, luckily for us in Ohio, they just got rid of the state curfew, which was a 10 p.m. curfew. So we can go out late at night or all night at the club if we really wanted to, at least let's say 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., something like that, right? But the funny thing is that if you go out to, let's say, the bar, I still got to go wear my mask in the bar. But hey, don't worry, if you eat or drink, which is what you do at the bar or a restaurant, you get to take the mask off. Yeah. And if I cough on the person next to me or kiss the person next to me, well, guess what? It's okay because you are sitting down and, that's okay, even though if you're spreading COVID-19 or whatever else. So it's a whole lot of hypocrisy. And, we get by one day at a time. And now we're in this deep winter freeze where it seems like the whole country is blanketed in snow. And, I spent today shoveling snow, but hey, school's off. So that was okay too. So that's what this month has been basically for me.
Yeah, another interesting thing about these vaccines you bring up, Sean, besides that you just have to continue to wear a mask, we're now hearing about all these other variants coming out of Africa and coming out of the UK, and how they're supposedly a lot more contagious and it could be way more deadly. It's going to be interesting to see if the vaccine continues to be effective to these other COVID variants, or if it won't even do any good and we'll need another COVID vaccine here in the next year or two. What are your thoughts on all these variants with the COVID, Rob?
Well, I think it's going to happen. It's the same thing with the flu. I mean, you have the flu comes out every year and you have to take a new vaccine. Most people are under the impression they take the vaccine for the China virus, that's it. But granted, the first shot, and then for some of them, you have to take a second shot. But next year, it will be the same thing. And it might be stronger. It'll be a different variant. So I'm not at all surprised about this. What I am surprised is that we are still yet to put the blame on China. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't at all be surprised if China is creating these different strands. I mean, viruses will mutate when they see this, they're trying to be killed off. Well, let me change here, let me change that. But China needs to be held responsible. China is not a third world emerging country. That needs to change with the UN. Okay? We need to get tougher. Simple as that. We need to get tougher because you're going to have all these different variants and whatnot. But will Joe shut down travel? And if he does that make him a racist old white man? Stay tuned. We'll find out. I doubt it. Doubt it seriously.
Yeah, it's so disappointing that Biden rejoined that World Health Organization, which is clearly just doing the dirty laundry for the Chinese. A couple of days after Biden rejoined, they released a report saying that they took out all of their investigators out of the Wuhan lab because they found no evidence that the virus originated in the Wuhan lab. They're now trying to say it may have been from animals such as like bats or other exotic animals. Which wouldn't be shocking either, but it just seems like they're spewing Chinese propaganda, this World Health Organization, and it makes no sense why Biden wants to give them more of our taxpayer money after President Trump did the right thing and finally got us out.
And one of the things that I'm equally disturbed over, just pivoting just a little bit, I know we're getting ready to shut down, is the fact that Biden is yet to call one of our closest allies, Israel. What the heck is he waiting for? Mm-hmm. He's called everyone else He's called people that we have to constantly give them money, but he's yet to call Israel. I mean, I'm like, I don't get it with him. Pick up the freaking phone and call them. I mean, people should be pushing back. They say, what is this guy thinking? I'm telling you what he's thinking. He could care less. He's out there fanning money at these countries that we'll have to give money to. He'll probably give more money to Iran. This guy, this administration is a complete nut job based on identity politics. Plain and simple. A complete nut job. And they're getting all this stuff passed through while no one is looking. And before you know it, you're going to have a bazillion illegal aliens here standing in food lines using our taxpayer money. And the crime is going to go up to wazoo. It's crazy. Crazy. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
And where's Hunter Biden? Have we seen him around?
Well,
He's writing a book.
He's busy writing a book. He's trying to make sure that he spelled the
that's
words,
right.
dotted the I's, and crossed the T's. At the same time, he's probably going to strip joints. Not that there's anything wrong with it. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. And then he's probably putting things on the hard drive of some computer. But he's hard at work writing a book, and then he's trying to line out which reporters he's going to talk to, the ones that are going to be really kind and nice to him. And on the other hand, you have Kamala Harris's niece. She's doing the same thing, trying to profit off of Kamala's name. These people are so downright dirty. Whereas the Trump children stood back, stopped working, said, hey, we're not affiliated with any of these things. But what did the media do? Oh, did you know she made a profit from this? Well, that was before she came to the White House. She was allowed to do that. Oh, and did you know they did this? That was before they came to the White House. But what is Joe Biden's kids doing while he's in the White House? What is his brother doing? Oh, they're trying to benefit off of his name. Oh, but we're not supposed to say anything about that because that's okay. Give me a break. These people are dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Now, when people ask why he has $200 million, liberals will say, oh, he wrote a book, just like they do for Barack Obama, and why he's worth like $100 million and owns like 4 houses. It's all, he wrote a book, just like you see with Socialist Bernie. They expect you to believe these people who write books make as much money as like a Hollywood movie or something. It's just insane. It's Bernie wrote a money laundering operation is what I
absolutely think. Bernie wrote a book. Bernie is a socialist, and Bernie has 4 freaking houses. Joe Biden, how did he get all of his money? He never once worked in the public sector. You have a lot of people on the White House, on the Hill, Capitol Hill, never worked in the public sector, but yet and still they're millionaires. Are you freaking serious? Where did they get the money from? Okay,
China.
We're being paid to do stuff. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. China is
in
funding.
many cases. Yeah.
China is funding a lot of our big universities with their Confucius classes. And people are saying, I would not pay for my kid to go to an Ivy League school. I would not pay for my kid to go to Yale or Harvard. They got a scholarship, okay. But me to pay my hard-earned money for that? Hell no. Absolutely not. For them to indoctrinate them? Heck no. It makes absolutely no sense. But you're right, Sean G. It's China. China, China, China.
Exactly.
Yeah, well said. Is there anything else you guys would like to cover tonight?
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say that, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the report about how like all these presidents, Trump and others, would go golfing as like their pastime. Well, apparently Biden was seen playing video games in some arcade the other day at like Camp David, playing some like auto racing game there. And that's a new twist, if indeed that report is true, about Biden being
I saw
big
the video.
gamer. You saw it, yeah?
Yeah. There's video of it. I was really impressed at Camp David. Apparently, from the video I seen, they've got like an arcade style Mario Kart there, with like the steering wheel and everything, like you used to see at the arcade when you were a kid. And yeah, sure enough, Biden was rocking some Mario Kart. At Camp David. I was pretty impressed with their video game setup there.
Wow.
Oh, very nice.
But yeah, if President Trump was seen doing something like that, could you imagine the jokes and the harassment he would get? They'd be saying, oh, he's playing video games all day instead of running the country. It's sad that it's a serious issue, but they really would. I mean, we laugh at Joe Biden playing Mario Kart, but if that were President Trump, liberals would really try and make a big deal out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely the jokes. Yeah, I agree with you completely. But just one last thing I want to say is that all this crazy weather, that has to be the result of climate changing. I'm sure that the liberals are saying, oh, it's climate change, climate change. Look at what's happening. Although they told us there would be no more snow, it's like, oh, it's going to be only hot, hot, hot. This is climate change. But these guys are crazy. What can I say?
Man, it's been a cold one in the Midwest. One of the coldest winters I can remember in the last
Really?
5 years at least. And man,
Well, just Texas in itself is like unbelievable what's happening there.
In Illinois,
where's that global warming, guys?
We just came off a string of like
global warming.
5 days where the wind chill was like -20 below. I mean, it was intense cold here.
It's global warming, but it's freezing us up.
Yeah, exactly. But thank God we're only about a couple weeks away from March here, and hopefully the warm weather is coming. I've gone about 6 months without being able to enjoy myself outside, and it's getting pretty old locked up inside here in Illinois.
Well, Andrew, don't get too comfortable, because you might be staying inside a little while longer, because they're saying we have to consider social distancing and wearing the mask. So as soon as the warm weather comes, they're going to say, oh, no, Dr. Fauci is going to come up with some other model saying stay inside, because this is definitely an event that's going to cause coronavirus.
Now, one thing I'm looking forward to in March is that we didn't have last year was number one, March Madness basketball. I always love that. And number two, St. Patty's Day, where we can go drink and watch March Madness basketball. So fingers crossed that both of those happen just a month away.
Yep.
Yeah, should be interesting. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in tonight on this special edition Wednesday night. We might do more of these. I'll talk to Rob about that. But yeah, we thank you all for joining us. Be sure to follow Sean G on Twitter and wherever else he is at Sean G927. Are you on Gab or Parler, Sean?
Soon enough I will be, but not at this moment. But stay tuned.
Okay. And then follow Rob on Gab and Parler and Pilled.net at RobJH1, and follow me on Gab, Parler, and Pilled.net at Smalltown Andrew. We will be back tomorrow with attorney Manny Alejandro, and we will be back Sunday with congressional candidate Joe Collins, who ran against Maxine Waters.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, Joe Collins. We're also going to have Josh Spodak on, trying to get him on Sunday. And pretty interesting conversation we're going to try to bring forth. Joe is saying, made a comment on Facebook the other day about being a black man and tempted by all these different elements on the outside. And Josh has been on the show previously, and he has said a white man, that he feels as if though no one is listening to white men or the things that they go through. So it should be a very interesting conversation if we're able to pull it together. That's going to be Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And as Small Town Andrew said, tomorrow we have attorney Manny Alejandro. We're going to talk to him about this whole NAACP lawsuit that's being filed against President Trump and Giuliani. We're going to also have a journalist, Chris Tremogli, on as well. And then next week, we hope to have the comedian,
Michael Lufus.
Michael Luftus on. So you don't want to miss that show. We got a lot of interesting guests that are lined up. So and stay tuned. All this always starting at 10 p.m. And I think that's it, folks. So have a good night.
Thank you.
God bless. And we will see you tomorrow at 10 p.m.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Great time.
Okay.